never too early to start planning for your financial future. Jaime Westenbarger here from Forest Hills Financial to talk about 5 steps to get you on track for retirement.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Christian. So many times when people call us, they're in their 50s or even 60s. And of course, we're more than happy to try and help them as well. But the key would be is if you started even earlier on in trying to plan for that retirement, how much better
in your 20s
situation would you be? Yeah, I mean, 20s is definitely not too young. And, 30s for sure, you should be really starting to attack it and figure out what you need to do with it. So the first thing is just start saving. It seems crazy, but 15% right off the top, right from the get-go. Doesn't matter if you're making $10 an hour or your first salary job, whatever. Just start getting in the habit of paying yourself first. You'd never miss your rent payment. You'd never miss a car payment. Don't ever miss the payment to yourself. It's going to be one of the most important ones you can ever make.
And the earlier you do that, the better, because it just compounds over years.
Yeah, I mean, the magic of compounding interest is just phenomenal. So if you can start young, there's so much less that you'll have to save later on in life because you were able to bank so much early on.
What else do you need to plan for?
Well, now that you've got that going and you're going to get raises, you're going to get new jobs and all of that, you want to really be careful of the whole inflation creep that happens with your lifestyle. It's easy when you get that next big raise to decide to get the next bigger house or the bigger car or that furniture you've been looking at. But if you're always taking a portion of that new income and applying that to savings as well, not only will you be setting a lot more money aside, but in the future you'll find yourself living on a lot less too. So if there was a job change or you wanted to go out and start your own business, you wouldn't need to replace nearly as much income if you're not living on all that you're making.
And you really need to think about how you want to live in retirement.
Yeah, even when you're in your 30s, start picturing what retirement looks like. You and your spouse have probably had some conversations, if you both like to travel or if an RV's in your future or something like that, start to kind of realize what some of those expenses are going to be, because that'll start to kind of give you an idea of what you really are going to have to save.
You at least want to do what you're doing now. You don't want to have to cut back just because you're retired.
Yeah, nobody wants to, put in their last day at work and then say, okay, well, no more traveling now. That's definitely the opposite of the way you want to do it.
What are the last few things you want to think about?
The last 2 things. One is definitely be aware of taxes. So often we hear about diversification of our assets when it comes to how we invest them, but we also want to make sure we're diversifying in the way that they're treated for taxes. So maximizing those Roth contributions, using the 401ks and other things you have available at work, and then even setting up your own outside account so you have multiple sources of that money coming in. And then every year, make sure you're negotiating for those raises. Most
easier said than done these days.
It is very true, but most employers aren't going to come to you and tell you they want to give you money. It's going to take you asking.
Which means you have to look around for other jobs and make sure that you're a viable
candidate, and you're worth the raise you're asking for. But even a couple $1,000s a year more, just think of how much that saves up over time if you're able to put that away.
Good advice. And if somebody wants more financial advice, there's always the radio show.
Yep, every week, times and stations there on the screen. Or they can always, of course, find us online. Just go to keepingyourmoney.com.
Jaime, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Christian.